Birmingham City manager Gary Rowett spoke to the press ahead of Saturday's FA Cup tie against Bournemouth. And first item on the agenda was the departing Demarai Gray.
I think all the way along we've not wanted to sell Demarai, and I think the biggest factor for us was to try and get a situation where we hoped that he might stay. And we've been aware that obviously if the right Premier League club comes along that he would be interested, as I'm sure would most 19-year-old players that have played a vast amount of games in the Championship and proved their worth. No, listen, it was quite simple. You know, he had a year to run of his contract. We faced risking losing him on a tribunal for a year, which was made quite clear that they perhaps might do. So we offered a new contract, and we tried to agree to one or two things that felt, yes, it limited what we would get for him, but it also made us aware of what we'd get for him, so we could actually plan and look at our worst case scenario. Again, I reiterate, you know, I spoke to Demarai lots of times, said, look, I want you to stay, you know, I think this is the right place for you. But ultimately, you know, that was out of our hands. So I think we've had to make difficult decisions. I think in an ideal world, you have a young player, he's on a 10-year contract, and you can ask for what you want for him. But as we know, the game and the demands of a modern game with agents and players, that sometimes it doesn't work quite that simple.
With the transfer window now in full swing, the manager is eager to strengthen his squad before the end of the month.
Well, I think the whole thing was based on, you know, I think we sat down and certain amounts that we knew we'd perhaps get with these deals, or at least we knew what we could do building the team forward, and that was part of the factor. So, yeah, listen, we're in a position where we can, without me mentioning amounts, because of course I'm not going to do that, but we're in a position where we can certainly strengthen this month. And I think, you know, it was important to us in some ways to rather than keep going with what we got, to maybe be in a position where we could go and get maybe 2 or 3 players that might make a difference to the team for the rest of the season also. So we're certainly in that position. As we know, it's not an easy market, the January market, but we're going to attempt to be as competitive as we can be and see if we can get, you know, 2 or 3 bodies in that will make a little bit of difference come the final push. I think what's so difficult for me is often I wake up in the morning, I'll read probably 10 stories, of which 8 of them have probably got absolutely no substance to whatsoever. Now, I'm not denouncing the quality of the media or anything like that, but I think, you know, sometimes a couple of them have got a little bit of something in it, but, you know, there's so much speculation around, and whether that's sometimes agents drumming up a bit of business, whether that's clubs drumming up business, I don't know. But so I think the easiest thing for me is to not name players and say whether I'm interested or not. They're with other teams, you know, they're contracted to other teams, so it's very difficult for me to talk about speculation. But there's certainly some areas of our forward line that we would like to improve, and 1 or 2 other areas that we think we could strengthen going forward. I mean, Vaughan is one that we've said quite openly that we would like to try to do something with, and again, he's Huddersfield's player, so, you know, whatever Huddersfield want to do, that's their prerogative, and we can only speak to them and express a desire to try to keep him longer. As we know, as a Birmingham fan, and you know, he's highly motivated to play here. And I think we saw that in his performances, you know, and also it's very difficult when you've got someone as unique to us as Clayton Donaldson to find someone else who can have a similar impact when he's on the pitch. So yeah, he's certainly one we would like to try to get for longer.
The future of Reece Brown has also been in question this week. Here the Blues boss explains the current situation.
Well, Reece is a player that, as we know, you know, certainly from an early age, you know, there's a lot of interest from some of the top 4, 5 Premier League clubs. I've got to say about top 8 nowadays, haven't I, with Leicester up there, of course. But I think he was always someone that had a lot of interest. I think we're at a point where at the moment he's not as close to the first team as I'm sure he would like and we would like for a player of his ability for various reasons, which, you know, there's no point me going into. So we just felt it was a good opportunity to give him a different experience, let him go down and train there. There's nothing been agreed by anyone. It was just a case of, listen, you know, let him come down. They've asked if he can come down and play a couple of games and train, and that's it so far. So if he comes back after that experience, fantastic. If he does amazingly well down there, then you know, obviously we're open to see where that goes. But I think if someone's not close to your first team, at some point you have to realise the talent, and you know, if you can't realise that at your own club, then you have to look at different avenues.
Looking ahead to Saturday's match, Rowett knows Blues will need to be competitive against a strong Bournemouth side.
Yeah, again, I think that one or two people have suggested this game's going to kind of define where we are. It's going to define where we are in terms of how much progression we've had, and I just think that, you know, over 14 months that one game's not going to define that. Our form over that period will define it. You know, the fact that we're in the position of the league we're in. Of course, it's an iconic game because of that scoreline. I think we treat it as any other game. You know, it's a game we want to win. Yes, it's an FA Cup game. Yes, I know a lot of teams up and down the country might make some changes because I think everyone has to do what's right for their club. But I think for us, it's a game that we want to try and win. We know that Bournemouth have got some excellent players. Listen, I'm sure they could change all 11 players and still have a very, very strong side with a lot of attacking threat. You know, so I think we'll just focus on what we do and you know, we know we've got to be incredibly competitive come Saturday.